Welcome back to the Elwin channel, a place where we share all kinds of content ranging from life, health, history, to design. We don't know that Venus had oceans, but there's reason to believe it did. David Grinspoons, astrobiologist. First interesting fact. If you think that everything would happen fast and furious over in Venus, you'd be disappointed to realize that everything happens extremely slowly. Get this. 1 day in Venus is equal to 243 Earth days long. It is the slowest rotating planet on its own axis. Second interesting fact, the confusing part about Venus is that even though it moves slowly on its own axis and spins backwards, it orbits around the sun a whole lot faster than us. So in total, 1 Venusian year is equal to 225 Earth days. Crazy, isn't it? Third interesting fact, Venus is laced with extreme clouds and winds that blow up to 224 miles per hour, and its atmosphere acts like a scary vacuum that sucks up all known UV radiation. In the second installment of our planetary series, we're bringing you some astronomical facts and stories of antiquity about the planet Venus. Although Mercury is actually the closest planet to the sun, it's actually not the hottest. Now, isn't that something? Venus is in fact hotter than Mercury, as well as the hottest planet in our entire solar system, reaching a surface temperature of 900 degrees Fahrenheit. As for the landscape, it is anything but serene. Photogenic? Maybe, but perhaps more in an apocalyptic sense, with scenery that is sprinkled with active volcanoes and torrential winds, only without the actual water. And on top of that, it has such a thick and suffocating atmosphere that traps carbon dioxide, boasting tons of clouds composed of sulfuric acid. Yeah, think again if you're planning on visiting Venus someday, and don't fall for it even if Elon Musk himself starts promoting a tour 30 years down the line. And interestingly enough, Venus may not be the sun's closest neighbor as it comes in second place. However, it is extremely near to Earth in comparison to, say, Mars. And that is why we can actually see it during certain times of the day and particular times in the early evenings. The brightest so-called star that we sometimes see up there, of course, after the moon, is actually not a star, but Venus itself in all its shining glory. Not only that, but from surface level, Venus and Earth look seemingly identical, because you see, if we were to slice Earth across the middle, the diameter comes out to approximately 7,900 miles, whereas Venus's diameter is about 7,500 miles. That's not a bad difference in the grand scheme of things, right? And so now let's get to the ancient mythical beliefs, shall we? Since the days of the ancient Romans, Venus was always revered as a goddess of love, desire, fertility, sensuality, victory, and wealth. So in some ways, she has always been the spokeswoman for ancient Romans' personal lives, rather than for society as a whole, like many of the other gods and goddesses. Now, because Roman and Greek mythology always borrowed ideas from one another, you might just be as familiar if we told you that she's the Greek equivalent of Aphrodite, who was specifically mentioned in countless significant texts, like the book of Acts in the Holy Bible. But of course, like anything in Greco-Roman ancient mythology, she depicted much more than pure love. Rather, she has been often equated to sexuality and sensual lust, making her an untouchable and incredibly special figure, as entire temples were dedicated to her. After all, she was the goddess that oversaw temple prostitutes. And get this, it has been said that at one point, the temple of Aphrodite, aka Venus, gathered together more than 1,000 temple prostitutes in honor of her name. And for those reasons, many people still to this day respect the planet Venus as a symbolic icon in their personal lives. Some refer to it for signs of love, prosperity, and even their dating endeavors. Whether or not one agrees with these practices, it is interesting to see where it all originated from and the many forms it has been passed down through the ages cross-culturally. That wraps up our second video on this series. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we can't wait to have you back next week as we discuss some fascinating facts about Mars. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Elwin channel.